Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a trashy junk journal. So things that would, for the most part, be considered trash. I have bubble mailers, some food packaging, and then some random scraps, pieces of paper. So we'll see where we go with this. So right away I decide to use this large pink envelope as the cover of the journal. One, because it's pretty large, and two, because the color is super pretty. So I am folding it to give myself about a 1.5, 2 inch spine. I didn't really measure this, but I just kind of eyeballed it to a reasonable size spine. And then I start going through some of the papers. And what I wanted to do is use a lot of what would be considered trash, but also give myself some papers. So if everything was plastic and like bubble mailers and just plastic packaging, it would kind of be hard to journal on top of that all the time. So I did include a variety of plastic things and also paper. So right now what I'm doing is hinging my pages together. And for this I am using masking tape. And you could do that, or you could do washi tape, or you could do masking tape first and then cover it with washi tape or strips of fabric. And I learned this hinging technique from Junk Journal Joy, Francesca. She's here on YouTube. So I just continue hinging pages together until I get an amount that I would want in a junk journal. I didn't want it to be super thick from the get-go because I tend to bulk up my journals a lot as I'm filling them up. And yeah, so I'm just here using a bond folder to kind of get a crisp edge on this one. And with this method of hinging pages, it's probably best if you like a variety on your page sizes for you to hinge like I'm doing here, one small, one big, because then you can't really get anything in between. So these will go into the journal together. So if you want kind of that stacked look, you might want to keep that in mind. Otherwise, you can just hinge them however. I honestly didn't put any thought to it as I was doing it. I was just grabbing things and hinging them. But here I am cutting some of the extra from some of the boxes. And this little box would be great because the back of it is a solid color. So it's already a journaling card that doesn't require any work. And so this is actually a really great way, very budget friendly way of making a junk journal. You could save all kinds of pretty packaging that you find interesting, or just pretty to look at, and just stick them all together with some masking tape from Dollar Tree. Here I cut off the bottom of the flower bag because I've seen this in other videos how bottom of bags look really cool when you kind of open them up in a journal. So I wanted to try it out in mine. So here I have my stack of pages and I am fitting them to my cover to make sure they fit and it's not too bulky. So now I move on to start decorating the cover a little bit, and I grab this piece of a book sleeve that I love the color. It's so pretty and I liked how they were both cool tone. So I am going to use that on the spine. And then I have some apple packaging, and the little apple looks kind of watercolored. So it just looks cute, and I'm playing around with putting it on the cover, but I didn't want to cover all of the pink. So I end up trimming this down a lot more. So now I'm going back to the pages and I am going to hinge them together with tabs. And I am using masking tape for this again, but you could do washi tape or you could do pieces of fabric. If you do washi tape, I would recommend something that has a lot of stick to it because you don't want it to peel off over time. This is holding the structure of your journal and you don't want pages just coming out. So I would personally do masking tape and something else on top. So now, as I was working on this journal, my daughter handed me a letter that she made me. So one of the stickers that I peeled off, I was able to put on in my journal, but the other ones didn't peel off as nicely, so I wasn't able to use them. And she's just showing me everything that she made, and some of these things do end up in my journal. So I made fabric tabs to cover the masking tape, and I just sewed around them. This is not necessary, so it just adds a little extra detail. I did use fabric glue for this, which I have used before, but I think I've always used it with something maybe like a darker fabric or something, because I never really noticed how it dries, that you can see it. You can see it through this fabric, or maybe this fabric that I used this time was just a little bit too thin. But not a big deal. You can cover that later, or just keep it as is. It just adds more texture, I guess. So I'm just covering all of those. And then for some of the masking tape, I did cover with one of my favorite washies, which is like a bright yellow, and it just adds a great pop of color. Now I'm going through and making sure that everything opens up. So like this one, I am giving it a top loading pocket on this side, and then the other side will be a side loading pocket. I'm so excited for these two pockets because they're very large, so I can stuff a lot in there, or I can do very large journaling cards. So it would be like adding a whole extra page, and actually two, because there's two pockets. Now I'm going back to work on the cover, and I had already decided I was going to put this on the spine, so I am just using some fabric tack for that. So here I have another book sleeve, and I just thought it would be nice to have some text on the cover. So I just cut out the entire title of this book, and I put it on my journal cover. And the illustration is so pretty. The colors are super pretty. It didn't really go, like none of this really went together, but I was just wanting to use this stuff up and wanted to give it a second life. And so I'm just having fun with it. I wasn't necessarily worried whether it was like the most beautiful thing that I made. I just really wanted to have like a true trashy junk journal. I do wish I had sewn around the text, like around each one of the rectangles, because that would have added a lot more texture to the front. They kind of look just a tiny bit flat, but I might go back with a Sharpie and just do like some hand-drawn stitches on there. And then, so I trimmed down the apple packaging, but then I realized that I didn't actually make it a pocket. I trimmed the bottom of it too. So I just end up gluing that down and stapling it to make it into a pocket in the front. Since I wasn't really planning what I was doing with this, the bunnies, as cute as they were, they didn't fit in the front. So I put them on the back, and it just makes it look cooler. It adds a little something on the back. I don't normally tend to decorate the back of my journals, so this was fun too. So I had some extra tabs from that I was going to use as hinges, so I ended up putting three of these on the back, and I really like how those look, except the glue is totally visible through, so I might do something else about that later. So here I'm working out how I am going to attach my pages to my cover, and I've never built a journal in this manner where it's kind of like a deconstructed journal that doesn't have a true spine. So I'm thinking maybe if I put some kind of wrap around the pages, then I can glue that to my cover. But maybe because of the thickness of the bag that I use, it didn't exactly worked how I wanted it to. So I do end up having to sew it all together. But I put a ton of glue of fabric tack through my spine, and then try to glue the bag down, and that didn't work. So if you guys have any ideas how I could have attached this better. Let me know in the comments. So I was trying to use up as many things as possible out of this little stash that I had of junk. And so I'm ripping out this bag that I'm going to use as a flip. I end up making a couple journaling cards out of this, and I will show you those to you guys. I'm wrapping this, I don't know what this is. I think it came from a chocolate box. I'm wrapping it in some craft paper bag or craft paper so that I can sew around it and make like a plushy journaling card. I'm back to working on the cover, and I'm using this canvas that one of my daughters painted, but she wanted to throw it away. So I had it in the stash there. And so I'm ripping it up to add a couple of different tabs, or I guess just scraps, to the front and kind of blend in that section a little bit more. And I didn't want to throw away the rest of it, which had a heart on it, so I just glued that on the back. So now here I go back to attaching my pages to my cover, and I can see like, okay, this is not working. So I'm trying to find a solution to it, and then I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna bind it in. So I find what I thought was the middle-ish of the signature and just bind it in with some neon pink thread. Here's a look at some of the things that I made. The first one was one of the ones my daughter gave me, some little journaling cards. I took some of her drawings and lined them with paper so that I could write in the back, this little flip and another flip, and a large journaling card. And the plushie card that also has a pocket. Okay, so here's the final journal. I was able to use a lot of different pieces. The glue here is still drying, or it might be drying like this. So if this doesn't end up drying clear, I will cover this with something else, maybe some colorful fabric or something, because I don't want to see the glue through it. I like how the cover turned out. I do wish I had reinforced the cover a little bit more because it's pretty soft, but I literally had no plan for this at all. So I still like it. I like this little pocket here. My plan is to put maybe the intro details to the journal in here, you know, like when I started and when I finished it. So I did decorate it a little bit. And here I was able to use this as a pocket, which I can slip like a big journaling card in there. So I have this that my daughter made me of a narwhal, and my kids are playing, so if you hear them in the background. So then I have a pocket here, and the way that this journal is built, I don't know that a lot of things will stick to this. Like, I don't know if paper would really stick to this all that well. So it would be more like just putting journaling cards with that journaling and just making things to actually add to it for some of it. But I do hope, I think with fabric tack, I might be able to stick some things on this material. I have here some packaging that I can use for some written journaling or putting a picture. I didn't cover all the masking tape because I figured that as I'm journaling, I can add different colors that match the layout that I'm doing that day. And this is paper, so I could actually glue things on there. This pocket, I just added this journaling card that I made with some of the remaining trash. or junk, and I made a little pocket here, but it's tiny, so it would have to be like a very small journaling card. Then I have this big pocket here. Let's see. This is like just a piece of paper where I cleaned up a brush, so I can cover that up. And then I have paper here, the pocket here, a smaller pocket, some paper. Pockets, these are nice because I can stick either like full-size pictures in there as they were meant to be, or I can put journaling cards and you can see them through, that you don't necessarily have to take them out. I put this little flip here with a stapler in case I wanted to move it later. And I put the big journaling card, and this one's squishy. I put this tab here from the lemon extract. Then here I put another one of those things that my daughter made. This was another book sleeve, and I don't like book sleeves, so I usually end up tearing them up. Or not tearing them up, but taking them off. A big nice pocket here that I can add a journaling card to. This I can staple things to, so I'm not necessarily worried about that one. I made this one into a flip. This paper came from an old agenda, so I just tore off some of the pages to use in different projects. And then lastly, I have a pocket here, and this kind of came out like a belly band. I didn't mean to do it like that. I just missed it when I was sewing, but it's cool. And then this little flap, which I cut off from one of the book sleeves that I was working with. So then here again, you can kind of see where my plan to glue this didn't quite work. I closed this in here, which I guess I could open and use that as a large pocket, but I think it would be better to just leave it like this so it doesn't become too weak. And I played with the idea of kind of making it a wraparound journal, but I knew it would get really chunky, so I'm glad I left it open. And it feels really good. Let me see what size it came out to be. So 8 inches by 11. So kind of like a sheet of paper. So it's pretty decent in size. I like how squishy it feels, and I'm excited to work in it. It seems like a nice challenge, and I am almost done with my current journal. So I think after that one is done, I will move into this one, and we'll see how that works out. I hope you guys enjoyed making this with me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.